Good evening and welcome to Stimpson Community School. My name is Mrs Reid and my role every year in school is Head of Year 7. I am going to hand you over to Mrs Purdy, who's the Senior Leadership Team Link for Year 7, who will explain a bit more about this evening.
Good evening, welcome to Stimpson Community School. This evening you're going to have a presentation by our Principal Brian Irwin, followed by a virtual tour of many of our lessons and Year 7 students interacting in their lessons. And then we will go on to some Q&A. So please send forward your questions this evening, parents and students, to myself, Mrs Reid, but also our wonderful student ambassadors in Year 8, Charlotte and Finley.
And now we're going to hand over to our principal, Mr Irwin.
Thank you, Charlotte, and a really warm welcome to all of you. My name is Brian Irwin, as you could probably guess on there. What I'm going to do in the next few minutes is talk through a school that I'm passionate about, and I hope that you will feel that sentiment. I must say it's disappointing that we are doing this virtually this evening, but we've tried to explain that as best as possible, but just in case, we've had to apply our own risk assessment from the local authority, and unfortunately with the numbers that were due and the building configuration, it is not possible. So let's make the best of what is our only option, and let's plough on. And if I could have the next slide, please. I sound like Chris Whitty or indeed Boris Johnson, so apologies for that. So I'm really proud of the school, really proud for a number of reasons. We set an ethos that actually talks about care. We care about students. I come to work because of the students that I serve, and so do the staff. I hope that if you choose to join us in September 2022, that this will be at least a 5-year journey, if not a 7-year, that moves you from your GCSEs into post-16, where we have a suite of A-levels, vocational qualifications that is far-reaching as criminology, law, chemistry, English, biology, computing science, or indeed languages, mathematics, and many, many other subjects. I'm going to start by saying, in the next slide, please, that to be a good school and for your child to get the most out of our school, their school, if they choose us, we need to work in partnership. And this partnership, this triangle, is us as the school working for your child and finding every way to make sure we reach their potential. I'm not selecting students, we're a comprehensive school. You select us. And we have a very diverse range of abilities and talents. I shared with some of the parents that have been around the face-to-face small tours that every child does matter. And that's a phrase that's been used many, many times, but it does actually mean that. Whether you are gifted with your hands or indeed with your brain, if you're a talented artist, dancer, musician, or indeed a writer, a poet, or can work out problems. We want to nurture and develop and ensure that when you leave Stimpson Community School, you have the best opportunities and you take those opportunities. And that means that students, you will only get out of the school what you put in. Likewise, we're not going to pretend we're a perfect school. We'll hold our hands up if we get things wrong. But what we do require is to work with parents so that you work with us, so that partnership is always forging a strong bond to the success of your child or children. On the next slide, I'm going to actually look at the school day just for a moment. Our school day is broken up into 5 lessons of principally 55 minutes. You can see this on the left-hand screen. It's punctuated with a break and a tutor time. I'll describe the curriculum in the next slide in a few moments, but essentially we have 2 lessons where the students will move around the school into specialist facilities, such as science labs, dance studios, computer facilities. Could we just go back, please? Thank you. During break, half the school is actually in the dedicated special areas for them. So for example, year 7s have their own canteen space. They have their own social area. And likewise for the other year groups. Then they'll go after this to a tutor group where they'll read. And reading is fundamentally an essential part of every day for every child inside the school, so that they can gain a strong vocabulary so that they can tackle the challenges ahead as they arrive into year 11 or indeed in post 16. Then they'll go to 2 further lessons, and then they will have a second break, again where they can have food in a dedicated area that just belongs to their year group, or indeed enjoy in a quiet area with their friends. Then in the afternoon, there's lesson 5, slightly longer, but it's actually more or less where they will finish the day at 3:15. We do have lessons and activities after school. Many clubs take place, and that is why we call it lesson 6. And there are many clubs, including homework club, art club, dance club, Minecraft club, PE sporting clubs, and many others. I just want to say that at the beginning of the day and the end of the day, the students arrive in their own separate entrances and leave in those entrances and exits. There is breakfast service from 8 o'clock, and we're there as a team of adults to meet and greet and welcome them, and to indeed sometimes sort out issues before they become bigger issues. I think that's a quality that we've enjoyed over the last 2 years. So the curriculum that we offer, let me just explain that. Can we move on to the next slide, please? In essence, all students will have the core of English, Maths and Science, alongside humanities, which consists of geography and history. But we are absolutely passionate that there will be a broad and balanced curriculum for children across the school. So we do indeed get them to study languages. They will have arts. They will have performing arts, which includes music, drama and dance. They will do computing, where they'll learn how to program, as well as food technology, resistant materials, and new to this year is religious education. In the tutor times, they will have personal social health education, which will cover many topics ranging from healthy relationships to about the way in which they can protect themselves in this modern society. So that's the curriculum in years 7 and 8. If I could just go on to the next slide to explain what the curriculum looks like as they move further into the school, and indeed from year 9 into year 11. So English, Maths and Science remain core subjects that we will study right up to year 11. We have PE, leisure and well-being. We also have PE as what we would call one of our options, and they will be asked at the end of year 8 to choose options with your support and our guidance. And we will carefully match those to their interests, to their needs and their academic ability. And they will study 4 further subjects until the end of year 11. Thank you. Next slide. If I could just pause and just go to the pastoral support and care. Students are based in year-based groups. They have a head of year, a dedicated head of year, mainly who is non-teaching. There are student support officers, and there is a large team of well-being, safeguarding, and indeed academic intervention staff that will work alongside your child to ensure they're successful. Next slide. In a few moments' time, you will see our high quality facilities. I won't pretend that just having a shiny build or indeed wonderful corridors is the only thing that makes a school, but indeed it helps. We pride ourselves on keeping a clean, orderly environment. But I'd like you to look at those facilities later on with the video, and I'd say alongside the care, the staff's input, and indeed the mission to ensure every child succeeds, I believe we've got the right ingredients along with parent support to make this school of your choice. Slide, please. So let me talk about secondary schools for a moment. Secondary schools do not have to be very scary places. Indeed, I don't pride myself on going around the school looking angry or indeed harshly talking to students. It's about mutual respect. What I want for every student that comes through the school is that they enjoy their school. They feel that's safe to challenge their own standards, but indeed make mistakes and feel comfortable about it. Good mistakes, educational mistakes, but they feel that we are going to be there to help and support them. But it's also a school where there are standards, and we are firm but fair. And I use the phrase, we have those standards, those expectations, rules, so that your child can succeed. For example, we do not have mobile phones inside the school. They can bring them to school, to the gates, they put them away, and at the end of the day, they can get them out. Our uniform is another standard. Think smart, dress smart. All small steps. And we obviously have the standards of what I call the pain of discipline. Doing the right things, of attending on time every day, preparing your homework or indeed your books and your uniform the night before, getting to school on time, trying your very, very best, not giving up. Positive attitudes are all monitored and tracked and fed back to you as a parent and indeed to the student. I call that the pain of discipline. It costs a little, but it's better than the pain of regret, where it costs a lot because it's too late and you don't get what you need in the end. Next slide. On this slide, I just want to reinforce that we will only be taking in 210 students. This includes students of a wide ability range, and we welcome students of all abilities. We have Oxbridge students, and we have students that learning is a challenge. And therefore, I want to reassure you that we're not a selective school. October the 31st is the deadline, and this PowerPoint will be available on our website. You can click on that link if you have not yet visited it, and all the guidance about applying are in the admissions booklet that Peterborough City Council has issued out. Please do read that. Next slide. So thank you for watching this short introduction. I know I'm not there face to face for you. I hope you get some sense of warmth of my genuine attempt tonight to share with you what we do, and we genuinely do what we do. There's no point lying, because you're going to find it out. And we're not going to pretend we're perfect, but we do want to work and improve, and our mission is that every child will succeed. There is going to be a video played in a few minutes. There are other snippets on our website. Now, what I want to leave you with is our school motto. And on the next slide, please. There we go. So our house and our ties are all tied in to this motto. We aspire for excellence with integrity to gain success. And those are the house colours when we do inter-competition, but it's a motto that I strongly believe in. Aspiring, striving for excellence, integrity, being honest, being polite, being respectful, so that your child can succeed if they join us at Ken Stimpson Community School. Thank you for watching. I'm now going to actually hand over to the IT to show the video that is going to take you around a tour of the school, which we would have normally done on the evening, and it lasts about 9 minutes, and you will get a flavour of a virtual tour rather than what we would have done on a typical evening pre-COVID. So can we now run the video? Welcome everybody, my name is Brian Irwin. A warm welcome to Ken Stimpson Community School. We're going to take you on a tour of the school today, and we're going to start in a few minutes by going through reception and into performing arts. Come and join us to see our excellent facilities and indeed a warm welcome from the students and staff. Should we start off now? Here we are at Performing Arts. Performing Arts has dance, drama and music, and we're going to have a look at least 2 of those today, so come in and follow me. So here we are at drama. We're going to walk in now and find out what they're learning today. Good morning, Mr. Billett.
Good morning, sir.
What is Year 7 learning today?
So today we're doing a spatial awareness game called Night Watchman. It's where we have someone representing a night watchman who are on their night shift and they are walking around their museum, and the rest of the class are live exhibits. So the rest of the class have to get back to their chairs without being seen by the night watchman.
Excellent, thank you.
Okay.
And good morning to Year 7. Good morning. So let's see some of your excellent work. Off you go.
On the count of 3, remember, nice and subtle movements. 1, 2, 3. Your shift begins. Oh, great work, great work. Some real subtle movement from some, a little quicker pace from others. Very interesting technique here. I don't know if you've made that harder for yourself there.
Well done, everybody. Thank you very much. Here we are at the gym. Maybe something that I could do with quite frequently. However, we're going to walk in and just have a quick look at our excellent gym. Morning, everybody. Here we are at dance, and I'm really excited to share with you some of the performances of our Year 7 students who've been learning some routines over the last term or so. So over to Miss Purdy, who's going to be leading the next events.
Hi, we're now at Geography with Mr. O'Neill. Come inside.
They're like any team, they are going to in fact be Australia, Sweden, Uganda, England, New Zealand, Spain, Germany, Morocco, Hungary. Oh, are we going to allow her to sit down? She says Africa. Why can't she sit down? Because it's a continent, yeah?
Going to head off to art with Miss Johnson.
I'm just bringing that around and I'm starting, you can see I'm working really quickly with my pen here, and I'm sort of layering my lines up so that I go back on myself. I'm then going to bring in this first sort of tentacle that goes down, so I'm going all the way down here and back up again, showing all of that pattern. You can layer it all up. If you've got a darker tone anywhere, then you can just layer with your pencil. So I can work into it a little bit to show some of the darker tones. Okay, so start with that main shape. That's it. If you are doing the octopus, keep that arm sort of flowing so you can show the fluidity of the tentacle. Keep going, that's all right. On the jellyfish, they've got some really small sort of tendrils that come down as well, so you could add those too.
Some fantastic drawings there, really impressed in 2 minutes what they've produced. So Year 7s absolutely love art. They have lots of competitions, lots of interform competitions as well to take part in, and also art club that happens once a week and lots of students attend.
Here we are at Student Services. This is the hub for students to go when they require support from student support officers, from the head of year, and from the many other services that we have at Stimpson Community School. We're just going to walk in and just take a look at how the Student Services looks inside our school. Come in. This is Miss Stott, and she is the Student Services Frontline help desk. They can come here and they will be dealt with, supported and cared for. Here we are in the English department. Here's Cade, and this is Saffron. And Cade, can you just tell me today what you're learning?
We're making a rocky road, which includes like loads of chocolate and sweets and marshmallows.
we hope to do that. So this is Year 7 Food Technology, and they're going to be doing a practical during the course this morning to create their Rocky Road Deluxe, and I'll be back to taste them all. I promise that. Welcome to our canteen, and in this canteen, Year 7s at a particular time of the day will have their food as well as other year groups. So we call it a split lunch. So certain year groups are on for their break, their social time and their food, for which they can eat inside here, or indeed they can play outside. The other remaining parts of the school years are actually involved either in reading or indeed some intervention programme or PSHE programme.
I'm going to take you now to Pastoral 1 into tutor time, where we have our quiet reading. A football pitch filled with pork pies. Come down here, come and meet Head of Year 7, the wonderful Mrs. Reid. Hi Mrs. Reid, hi Charlotte, hi Eva.
Hi, Mrs. Purdy. We're just doing a book at the moment, so we're just reading Demon Dentist, and we're just doing a one-to-one session at this present time. Ladies, what do you think to Demon Dentist?
It's pretty good. I like it so far.
Yeah? You enjoy it?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's the book we're reading at the moment.
At Kent Stimpson Community School, we pride ourselves in studying languages. It's an integral part of our curriculum, and such a valued one in a modern society that we live in. We have two languages that we principally study, that is French and Italian. And we take all these languages from Year 7 right through into Year 13, ending up with A-levels, and we're hugely successful in these. Bonjour.
Bonjour.
Ça va?
Ça va bien.
And here we are with Miss Beckenham and the Year 7 students, all ready to study one of their year-long French lessons that they've been having. Miss, how many lessons of French do these young people have? 2 lessons a week, and each of those lessons are 55 minutes long.
Oui. C'est une femelle.
No.
While studying computer science, students learn how to program. Some of this is done through pseudocode or original coding. And our students are very adept picking up the structure, the order and the commands in very few lessons. You are now going to see how students are beginning that process through one of the early computer science lessons that we have that goes right up into A-level.
So come with me, we're just going to quietly go into the science department, see some Bunsen burners, see some experiments with Mrs. Young and Mr. Walgie.
Here we are at Design Technology. Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for watching our tour of the school. I hope you have found this informative, enlightening, and indeed a way of actually seeing some virtual part of the school. I understand that that isn't the ideal situation. You'd like to visit the school face to face and see us in our everyday operations. We will be providing opportunities for small tours with groups of parents and students in due course. Information of this will be on our school website, and if you visit the homepage, it will link to where you need to go. And we look forward to seeing you in small groups, principally because of COVID, very, very shortly. Thank you for watching and listening to this particular video.
Welcome back, everybody. In the next section of this virtual presentation, we will be receiving questions that you may have thought of whilst I was speaking, or indeed whilst the video was playing. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I hope it gave a sense of our school in its everyday operation. So we've got 3 questions so far. So we're going to go through them in order, and I'd welcome the support of Ms. Purdy and Ms. Reid, and indeed Finley and Charlotte over there in the corner. So I'm going to pass this one over to Mrs. Reid, not because I can't answer it, but I think she'll be straight onto this. So Oscar has asked, are we allowed to wear shorts as part of our uniform, Miss?
We don't allow shorts to be worn as part of the school uniform. I know it's been under discussion with Mrs. Purdy, with the school council, but currently, no, we don't allow shorts to be worn in school.
One good thing about the student council, Charlotte Finley's been on student council last year, and it does, Mrs. Reid's right, it comes up every year. So what Mr. Owen actually said in the summer, that next year he will allow a few students to trial it, and if it's well received and students, there's a big uptake on it, and Mr. Owen feels that it's absolutely fine and it's a great addition to the uniform, then I think that there could be a possibility that will be agreed for the summer term. So we're going to trial it with a few students. Maybe Finley might be welcomed to model that next summer. But we know it's a very popular question, and student council is a great way, isn't it, Charlotte and Finlay?
Yeah.
Did you want to talk a little bit about what we do in student council?
I think it's probably the best thing about it, I would say, is the fact that, like Ms. Penny said, your input and the things you decide or vote for, they actually make a difference within the school. And it's such an awesome thing to see, really.
Yeah, it's really good to have your input on the school and make it a better place for yourself.
Thank you.
Thank you. Now, let's just sort of continue that theme of shorts and PE equipment and uniform. Mrs. Reid, what's the situation inside the school with students that have PE during the school day? Do they have to bring their uniform, or do they actually come to school in their PE kit? What's the situation? Maybe help and clarify for some parents that haven't yet asked that question.
Okay, thank you, sir. So students come to school in their school uniform, and they have their PE kit in their bags. So when they have PE, they then go to the changing rooms and get changed. Now, the only lesson that we allow you to go home in your PE kit is if you have PE less than 5, but you are expected to arrive in your school uniform at all times.
And some students, don't they, Mrs. Reid, have lockers.
Mm-hmm.
Lockers are available, so Year 7 definitely use their lockers, don't they, to go and get their PE kit throughout the day as well.
Yeah, there are lockers around which you can buy or put money towards at the beginning of the year, and all letters and that will go home to parents when students start.
Thank you. I'm going to direct this one at Charlotte, if I may. Can you remember, Charlotte, your first few days and weeks at Ken Stimpson Community School? I think you can. And there's a question that's come in from a prospective student. What happens if you're late for lesson?
I remember, I think it must have been my 3rd day, and I got really lost in my way to a lesson. I was just wandering around in circles. I had no idea where I was. And eventually, like, one of the staff on the site, they helped me and they showed me to the room, and I must have been about 10 minutes late, but it was absolutely fine. Because it was so early, nothing happened. And usually if you're late, as long as you have a decent excuse, then, nothing happens. There's no horrible feelings.
I think just for the first few weeks, well done, Charlotte.
So what we do for the first half term is no student is ever late into their lesson, because we appreciate that students do get lost going around the school. So please do not worry, mums, dads and the students, if you do get lost going around the school, because there are staff around to help them, and they will not get any late detentions going to and from lessons.
Thank you. Now we've got another question. I'm going to direct this at Ms. Purdy, if I may. She doesn't know what the question is, so here we go. So what transport do you have to the school, and do you have a school bus, or is it public transport?
Yes, it is public transport. Most of our students travel by bus, walk, scoot, bike, and some are lucky that they have a lift from a parent or from friends. But no, it is the public transport. But we do have staff that go down to the Warrington Centre and help any students that need help along the way safely to catch their bus. And bus times are all available on the websites as well for the students to know what times those buses approximately come. Sometimes, and I think both of you walk home, do you?
Yeah.
Yeah, but I think we finish at 3:15 and the first bus comes at 3:25. So I think it's not plenty of time to get to the bus stop and get that bus home. And the same for coming into school as well.
Okay, thank you very much. Now, I think I'm going to direct the question to myself, so I'll read it out for the benefit of everybody. How much of the information contained within the presentation will change when Ken Stimpson becomes an academy? Absolutely very little. We're very proud that the academy chain that we've chosen is a local chain, and that is a partnership with Arthur Mellors Village College and indeed Manor Drive and the other primaries that it serves. Our passion and our actual vision and mission is to give the best education for the students in the north of Peterborough. So we're never going to be a national chain that comes along that's having schools in various parts of the country that puts a template down, so this is the way that we're going to do it. Ken Stimpson will have its own unique characteristics and ethos, and it will remain, and it will not change. If we're not doing things well, we'll change them because we're not doing things well. If the things are working, we will keep them. And the care and the family sort of values that I've spoken about are passionate and indeed embedded inside the school. We will never ever lose those sites, and that's a promise moving forward. So we've got quite a few other questions coming up. Let's group them together. So do you have team sports and do you have a rugby team? I'm going to ask that to Mrs. Reid on there.
Thank you, sir. We do have lots of team sports. We have lots going on within the PE department. We have, currently we do have a football team. I don't think we do have a rugby team currently, but I'm sure there are lots of staff that are rugby players, and if we get as many students together, then a team would be made. But there are lots on. Do you attend any after school clubs, sports or anything?
I'm on the netball team currently. It's really fun actually.
And then last night we had the Year 7 actually play their first fixture over at Hampton Gardens. We drew, which is positive for their first ever game. But there's lots of PE clubs and fixtures. But like Mrs. Reid said, one of our PE staff is actually a rugby coach at the weekend. So if there's plenty of interest, the PE department will provide that, and are always keen to listen to any new things. I know that one big thing that changed last year, students really wanted access to our gym, and that is now on a provision every night for different year groups. So fitness fun is on at the gym. I think it's Monday nights for the current Year 7s.
Thank you, Ms. Purdy. While you're at it, could you just, questions come in, what music provision is there?
Absolutely. So we have music in the curriculum with performing arts, dance and drama. Year 7 actually this year are learning to play the ukulele, and we also have our instrumental lessons as well. We're currently having guitar and drumming, and then hopefully over the next half term we're going to be introducing flute, piano and vocals. Again, if there is lots of interest in a different instrument, then we will certainly look into that either before September, once we have our transition programme, if not during the academic year.
Thank you, Ms. Purdy, and I'll keep going with you. A question's come in. Can you clarify what clubs are running at the moment? Now that's a challenge because there's so many. So would you like to just give the first 10?
Yes, yeah, absolutely. I'll just focus on Year 7 currently, because I could talk all evening. So Year 7 currently have Science Club, They do lots of different experiments, don't they, Miss? And Miss Reed tends to pop in there on a Monday evening and watch them. We also have drama club, music club, dance club, all the sports clubs. We've got the reading club, which Charlotte, you attended tonight. Did you want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, just this evening I was in book club, and that is for all years, I think. So there were some year 7s in there with me, and we picked books, and we had this little fun competition where we tried to come up with some aims of what the club was, and it was all very friendly and relaxed, and everyone just, really all got on really well.
We've also got arts club for year 7 on Thursday, coding club, photography club. We also have film club, and there is homework club every single night, apart from Friday, but Monday to Thursday till 4:15, and that's staffed each night in the computer room, and support is given to help those students as well that need help with their homework, or they can just quietly work independently. I don't think I've missed any, but I know that there are other things going on in the faculty areas. It's just languages, maths, but that would be more of an invitation to join those staff after school. It might be, small group intervention rather than a set club each week. But again, if anything comes up in student council, so currently the post-16 asked for a debating club and a politics club, and Mr. Albert, head of sixth form, has already followed through with that request, and that has begun this week. So we are always listening out to see what students would like more of. And I think one big one currently for the lower school is food, and Ms. Cooper, our food technician, is going to be introducing that over the next few weeks.
Thank you. A couple of questions have come in. I'm going to group these all together because around a similar theme, and I'd welcome Miss Reed if you could start this, and if Miss Reed will come in. Do you have places for children with additional needs? Will they have helpers? And what if a child can't cope with moving from class to class throughout the day? Do you have a nurture hub?
Thank you, Mr. Irwin. There's quite a few that I need to answer there. So all children, even with additional needs, are, we make sure we look after them. We do have a nurture hub in school currently that, extras, well, there's TAs in that group. But we also have a dedicated, obviously, SEND team that work really hard to make sure all students, along with myself and other members of the staff, are all well looked after in school. So, all students are well looked after in school. I don't think, maybe you could elaborate on that a little bit.
I also think that if you have any questions or concerns before your child starts, that we have an excellent transition in place for that. And then you will have a meeting with our SEND department, and assessments can be made, and then we will go through the procedures from there, really. We have, like extra tours and things like that, don't we? Yeah, and, the SEND department will get in contact with you if need be, but please do pick up the phone. We're always on the phone to answer any questions and any concerns that you may have, because as a parent, I'd be equally, concerned. So we're always there to help and support as much as we can for you and your children. I think the other one was lessons.
Yes.
Is that right, sir?
Support, moving towards lesson, and if you like, I will talk about the nurture hub.
As a support during lessons.
During lessons. So support during lessons, if you are in our nurture hub, then there are a couple of TAs in that area. But if you are out in what we call mainstream, there are TAs in and out the lessons, plus the teachers are obviously highly trained to make sure we're meeting all the children's needs. And again, I'm in and out of lessons every day to make sure every child is well supported. And again, if there are any concerns, then pick up the phone. But we do make sure that we look after all the students And if you are in on one of what we call the nurture group, you don't necessarily move from lesson to lesson as much as the other students do, because we are aware that some may struggle with that. So again, that would be discussed. We would do a transition with primary. We spend quite a few months, to be fair, going from school to discuss with each teacher to make sure, you know, we are meeting every student's needs in school. It's quite a long process.
Thank you. What I'm going to do now is just go through a couple of the quicker answer questions so that we can get through those, and then return to some of the questions that require a little bit more lengthier answers. So do you offer violin lessons? Well, we have peripatetic teachers, so if you've got an interest in that and there is a peripatetic teacher that we can get hold of, then we will do that. Why do children have different coloured ties? Well, at the end of my presentation, I alluded to those house statements: aspire, excellence, integrity, success. Each of those were in a different colour. That's because students will belong to a house for interform or indeed any sporting activities such as sports day. And that's principally what it is. Do you have lockers? Yes, we do. You don't have to carry your bags everywhere. Those lockers are loaned out to students throughout the year, and it's a £5 deposit, I believe, and you get that back as long as the locker is in a good state, and that should be the case. Do you have a student council? Yes, we do. There we are. Charlotte talked about that a few minutes ago, and other things like that have come in. Where is the year entrance to come on the first day? Well, the Year 7 one is the main entrance, and it's signposted on there. Are there regular school trips, including trips abroad? Yes, they are. And they're beginning to get on the calendar, and we have trips as walks, as expeditions, visits to museums. We go abroad as well, and all that will be starting up now. We're moving out of COVID once again.
We do, Mr. Irwin. We do, don't we? Our residential, Ms. Reid organised our Year 7 residential at the end, so I know that some of you may have missed out on that if you are in Year 6, and that normally happened in your school in Year 5. We've already been in contact with some of the Year 6 staff that you've already been on them this last week, Warrington Primary School, but Ms. Reid organises that the summer term, so definitely one to look forward to.
Yeah, thank you. So I'm going to go back to a couple of questions that I will answer, or with your support. You must be due an Ofsted soon. Are you confident you will maintain your good rating or achieve outstanding? Well, I am very confident, and that reason why I'm confident is we've been stress testing this with the local authority throughout lockdown, after lockdown, and over the last year. We've worked really hard to tighten up, to improve. Whether we get outstanding is a different matter, and that will be the judgment at Ofsted, but we are striving always for improvement. So I can say that with volition. So I hope that helps. A couple of quicker questions. What kind of shoes can we wear? Well, it's on our website. So if you have a look there, it describes the footwear that you are allowed and the footwear you're not, and it's very, very clear. So please look at our website and you'll get the answer there. Do you have assemblies in the mornings like we do in primary schools? Yes, we do have assemblies, but we don't have them every day, and they have themes. Some of that will be about social, moral, spiritual and cultural aspects that we deem to be important, but we have them at least once a week. And as we've moved out of lockdown, we've moved away from virtual, where they've been taking place. We carried those out during lockdown to face-to-face in the assembly hall. So let's just go back to a couple of questions that have been grouped together. Do we have bullying inside the school, and what do you do about it? So my first point is, regrettably, that there is in every school elements of what we describe as bullying. We're not going to hide away from that. Do we accept that? No. We will come down hard on this, but we've got to know about it. And that partnership that I described is really key. For students to trust that they can go to an adult and actually inform them what is going on. That's the first part, because what we don't know, we can't deal with. The second part is how we act upon that. And there are two parts: to look after the victim, to ensure it's monitored, to make sure their feelings are heard. And then the second part is the action with the perpetrator or perpetrators to make sure that they're educated, but indeed, if necessary, sanctioned. We want no child to be bullied. We want them to be happy and safe, as I said in my presentation, and we will do everything in our power to ensure that that is taken through. And that's why we have an extensive team of support people that we described in the presentation: the wellbeing team, the safeguarding team, the pastoral team, the tutor, an extensive array of support so that we can capture it, deal with it, and make sure it never returns, should it actually occur. And we hope that's very rare. We certainly do believe it's rare. Is there anything you'd like to add, Mrs. Purdy or Mrs. Reid, to my statement on that?
Just that myself and Mrs. Reid are out every break time, and I'm sure Charlotte and Finlay would vouch for that. Last year, I was going in year 8 now, but we go out every lunchtime and break time. Mrs. Reid is in and out of lessons all the time, and the support that they have with their tutors is absolutely fantastic, with the communication between Mrs. Reid and the tutors. And like Mr. Owens said, that the students know where that support is. It is about speaking out, and Mrs. Reid does assemblies so many times about that we speak out, and we are a community in the year group, and how we treat each other and how important it is that we have that respect for each other's differences. And that's a really big thing that we push for in year 7. I think, you know, Mrs. Reid, you've had a couple of incidents, but Mrs. Reid has dealt with them very quickly. Communication has gone home to both parties, and we do a lot of restorative justice, where, you know, that they would come together and find out, you know, reasons why and how it's not acceptable. And very rarely do we have a second incident of the same mistakes made.
Nice.
Thank you. So we'll just sort of also add to that. We talked about personal, social, health and education provision, and part of that is about respect and relationships, healthy relationships with each other, and respecting diversity inside the schools. There are many facets to this. It's not just a mechanical process, but it's also about ensuring every young person knows the rights and the wrongs in terms of respect, and how we will and what they will do to ensure that we live and we work in a school that respects each other. So I'm just going to go now on to a number of quick questions. I think I'm going to answer many of these myself, Ms. Purdy and Ms. Reid, but I might actually ask the two students a couple of questions. So the hard one, Charlotte, where can I store my skateboard? You didn't see that one coming, did you?
Yeah,
well, actually, any student bringing in a skateboard, we would say that you would have to find your own way of storing it, but we put it into student services. Okay.
Scooters, obviously bikes, we have designated areas, don't we, Mr. Owen? So year 7 will have their own area to lock their bike and their scooters up.
Yeah. Is swimming part of PE? It currently isn't. We don't have those facilities. In terms of COVID, it's not been possible, but even pre-COVID, we wouldn't have actually put swimming into our provision. But cycle safety does form part of the provision, not within PE. We run that during the academic year to ensure that students cycling to school have a proficiency badge that they may or may not have received at primary school. When will the next lot of dates to visit the school be released? Well, I believe they should have already been posted. Am I correct in saying that, Mrs. Reid?
That dates for the tours?
Tours, yeah, I believe they're going live tonight or tomorrow
Yeah.
morning. The IT team will release them. So, you know, please book yourselves on and come and join us and for our tour around the school. More than welcome.
Brilliant. And the next one is, how many students did you have last year obtain a place at Russell Group University? I'm going to actually approximate, because I don't hold this in my head, but 88% of our students got their first choice. There were only 2 students out of the year group that didn't get their first choice, and they are staying on with us to ensure they do. And that's because they didn't quite get the A star that they needed to get into one of the Russell Group university places. 33%, a third, got into Russell Group places as their first choice, and then every other student, apart from those two, got their first choice university. So that's a total of 38 students in the year group. So I'm looking on the next set of questions. Mrs. Purdy, how much homework do we have each week?
Well, I think a good one would be ask the students actually, because each faculty area has a different homework policy. So, you know, I'm head of performing arts now. Homework policy will be very different to, say, the maths, English or science policy, and all those policies are on the website. But it'd be intriguing to know from a student's point of view how much they.
There's an average amount of homework. It's enough to keep you going at home, and it's just there's a couple maths homework and then there'll be English homework, but it's in a night sitting, or there'll be a project you could do which is fun to do, and that's pretty much it. It's enough to keep you going at home,
but not all weekend. Charlotte, did you want to?
Yeah, I wouldn't say any of the homework is particularly difficult. Actually, I would say most of it is quite fun. But yeah, the amount really does vary. Like last year I had quite a lot. This year I think I've only had one piece of homework so far. So, but all of it is just, you know, it's not a chore most of the time. So.
Thank you. I'm going to group the next two questions together. It's to do with the provision, the school day. Why is the school day split with 2 breaks? It's so that we have different activities going on during the day. There seems to be no traditional lunchtime. Break 2 is where we will offer a plated lunch, or indeed a lunch such as a roast dinner. So that's how we work on that. And the second question is, are students allowed to leave the site at lunchtime? The only students that are allowed to leave at lunchtime are post-16 students. Students may leave the campus with permission with their mum or dad, but they have to collect them. But it's not for the reasons of going down to Tesco's. It's usually to do with the fact that they are leaving the campus to go for a doctor or medical appointment as such, not to go down to the chip shop or anything like that. We do not allow that. So, Mrs. Purdy, one of the questions that have come up is, do you have any provision for gifted children or children who are ahead of their year group?
Yes, absolutely. We have 2 members of staff in charge of our high priority attainers, and their work is constantly monitored, and we will have their intervention, we will have trips, clubs, but also visitors that will come into school to excel and drive them further forward in that particular area or across the subjects. So yes, we have that provision, and that data is constantly analysed, and students have got those opportunities to further their development in any area really that they feel or we see that they are excelling in. I don't know if you wanted to add anything there, Mr. Owen, that I've missed.
Yes, the 2 things I would like to add is that we have 2 dedicated higher prior attainer coordinators, each focusing on an area of age across the school. So one is to do with transition, year 7, year 8, and the goals of those particular members of staff is to stretch and to ensure that the students who are gifted, or indeed those who have got higher ability, are stretched within the curriculum, but also have a rich and varied, I should say, provision, like going to universities, going to museums, having access to high quality speakers, debating, so that they are constantly developing their skills whilst inside the school. So as I've been talking on there, are the lunches varied and healthy? Yes, they are. They have to be. And they have to be a mixture of different food types. Please look on our website. I think the menu is on there, and you will see that there's a variety, particularly for break 2. Let's move on. How do you support and promote a child's well-being and creativity within the school system? Mrs. Reid, would you like to answer that?
Thank you, sir. A child's well-being is so important across the school, and I have to say we have a fantastic team around us, and well-being team for one that support the students day in and day out. They are always on hand along with every member of staff, so it is very important that we do look after each and every individual student, and that links in with the creativity really, just to make sure again that we're making sure that every student is looked after with that. Is there anything you need to add?
I've just seen on the question, it's very hard, sorry, we can only see it small, but one of the questions was how would we discipline do we consider a child's mental health or their confidence if, say somebody hasn't done their homework and we know that they perhaps have anxiety? Absolutely, we communicate. It's one of our big things, isn't it, in Year 7, well, across the school, but we communicate as staff, so we are fully aware. Obviously it's confidential, a lot of the things that some students are going through, but we will make it apparent to staff if students are very worried about being spoken to in front of, say, the class, or they don't want to read in front of the class, or if they get something wrong. We learn very quickly how to approach students differently, because we are all different, and and again, we liaise closely with the primary school to know how to help and support those students.
I could come in there. I'm going to use my own example. I lead by example, and my values are that it's about mutual respect. Shouting is only a place for emergencies and health and safety. I'm firm, fair, and I'm calm. And that way, when I have to actually talk to a student, I equally want to make sure they understand why they're being told to do something differently, or indeed, if you wish to know the language of telling off. But equally, I want to add to that particular conversation that for that particular experience, I want to hear something positive about the child afterwards, so that the two are there. I talk to the child that this is not about me taking it personally about them, it is about the behaviour, not about them. So we depersonalise things and actually make sure that we're addressing the behaviour, not about personality, and that's quite important. So we're coming up to the last few minutes. There are a number of questions that come in. If you wouldn't mind, we're going to just spend the next 2 or 3 minutes just wrapping those up. Some are going to be quicker than others. What IT facilities are available in the school to the students? There are 11 computer facilities. That's rooms of 30 computers. There are banks of laptops of 30 in every block. There are 5 blocks, upper and lower. And there are available laptops for post-16 and for students if they should be outside of school for a period of time that we can loan. So I hope that's there. Miss Purdy, do you have a choir?
We did have a choir, but because of obviously COVID, we weren't able to proceed with that last year. That is one of our priorities, to get that back up and running, hopefully by the end of this term. And I know that the choir, it was a fantastic choir that we had, and they toured, even went out to Paris, to Euro Disney, and performed there. So it's definitely a priority of the music department to rebuild that.
Okay, thank you. And a question here. What if a child does want to participate, or indeed there is a difficulty in participating in a music or dance lesson because of sensory issues? Would either of you like to answer that? I can certainly do that on your behalf.
You work very closely, don't you?
Yeah, I'm very happy to answer that. So if they have any sensory issues, again, we'd be working very closely with yourselves and the family and with the SEND department, and we always make sure that we're meeting every child's need. So, again, it was us giving you a call or getting you in for a meeting, and we can go through everything. But you know, again, we would adjust things for your individual child if need be.
And it's taking those small steps, isn't it, to building their confidence to join. So whether that takes a couple of weeks, half term, the goal will be for them to be included and feel happy and safe.
Thank you. And you can tell from the level of response, we have experience of students with sensory needs, and that's not new to us. So, you know, we are here to support. And as I said at the beginning, every child matters, and that means we have to adjust to meet their needs. So the most important one of all is, how much does it cost to have a lunch in Ken Stimpson?
Oh, I think that we saw Filet on the tour, didn't we, having a pizza? Did you have a pizza on the virtual tour?
I don't think it was me.
Did you know? Did you want to talk a bit about what food you have in the canteen, how much things are?
Travel does that. I love the food in the canteen. And I know in a lot of other schools, or lots of places really, they like say things, you know, they big up a bit, but this is absolutely 100% true. The food in the canteen is so good.
And it's all made on site as well. The year 7s, it's been a real positive, because usually at student council we will have, could we have more of this, could we have more of that? And Mr. Erwin then goes and meets with the catering manager with some students and puts those things in, you know, into practice. But yes, how much roughly are they a meal a day? Like, we had a main meal and a drink, maybe a dessert, about £2 something.
It's £2.70 for what they call a meal deal, and that gives you a main meal, a drink, and you know, if you want a dessert of some kind, whether it's fruit or a cookie, that is daily. We are also a cashless school, so everything is done via an app, which you'll get links to when your child starts here in September.
And they'll be able to see, won't they, everything that your child's eating. Or not.
Thank you. And just one back to you, Miss Reid. How are house colours allocated to the new school children?
They're not allocated in any way. Obviously, we meet with primary schools and we just allocate according, you know, we look through the groups, but we do not allocate for any specific. So if you've got a brother or sister in school, you won't necessarily be the same colour tie as your siblings. Is there anything?
Not yet, and the house colours are involved in competitions. And what's also lovely here at Ken Stimpson is that they will stay as a form group the same as their teaching group. And we trialled that last year because we thought it would help with the transition, as year 7 hadn't had any transition days over the summer prior to them coming, which was yourselves, and it's gone very, very well. So we're continuing with that, and we have this year, and we will, I think, for next year as well. Students have settled really, really quickly, and they get to know everybody in that class week 3 or week 4.
Okay, now there's a fantastic question coming up, so I'm going to keep you on your tender hooks, but it's probably the best question that I've been asked. But before I do that, there is somebody that's asking the question, how do we cater for those children interested in engineering? And I can come in there by saying, we're not the UTC, we don't pretend to be the UTC. You've seen our broad and balanced curriculum. However, students have the opportunity to study technology, design technology, indeed to go on as either construction as a BTEC, or indeed food technology as a GCSE. And we've got to be open and honest in that. We can't cover all bases, but we realise that some people are interested in that. But engineering isn't just essentially about design technology, it's also about mathematics and science, and we're very strong in those elements, and that will be a strong consideration for those who want to go on to that field in the future. And we do indeed have students that go on to study engineering at university through the more mathematical and scientific sort of elements, but indeed equally through construction, and then onto the college to study it at an even higher level, at level 3 and beyond. So I'm going to end, if I may, and I thank you to the students, Mrs. Reid, Mrs. Purdy, and the IT team have made all this absolutely smooth as possible. But this question is brilliant, and I'm going to answer it first and foremost, and then I would like Mrs. Reid and Mrs. Purdy, they're wondering what I'm going to say, to think about their answer. So for the students, what is your favourite thing about Ken Stimpson? My answer is really simple. It's the students. Simple. Absolutely simple. That's why I come to work. That's why I've got passion for the school. They are magical and they are so diverse, and it's wonderful to see them grow from year 7 and leave, whether it's in year 11 or post 16, as young adults. So there's my answer. Mrs. Reid and Mrs. Purdy, over to you.
Oh, I think you've stolen mine, but I'll come back to me because mine was students as well.
To be fair, I think we're all going to say the same. It is the students. But another thing is we are. Well, I think it's lovely that we're all equal as a family, and you know the students are seen as that in school as well. So you know it is a pleasure to see the students grow throughout the years when they are here. And just seeing them, you know, thrive in the different subjects. So many students are nervous about primary to secondary. After they've been here a week, they are loving the lessons, and, you know, the feedback from parents and students from the current year 7 is how much more they're enjoying it than primary. So yes, definitely the students for me as well. So Mrs. Purdy.
It is the same. Obviously, I don't want to be boring, but you know, this is, I think, this 30th year here at Ken Stimpson, and if I didn't enjoy it, I wouldn't still be here. And it is for me, obviously, it's the students and staff, but it's also the opportunities that I love here at Ken Stimpson, that we offer so many things for the students if they wish to, and that's something that I really try to drive through the students with student council, and I'm also in charge of the extracurricular activities. So I love about Ken Stimpson that students have those opportunities and how they grasp them and take them on, and like Mrs. Reid said, develop as individuals throughout. And you know, we've seen so many year groups now go through, and you know, watching them at the prom, and then going on to university, and we even have students come back and take clubs after school, come back and help through intervention, and it's wonderful, really wonderful place to be. You're not allowed to say to students, you can't say your friends, you've got to say something else now. What's the best thing about Ken Stimpson?
I think the best thing is honestly the lessons. They're really fun. I've had a lot of fun in lessons like science experiments, English, creative writing, stuff like that, maths, doing math games, everything is just fun in lessons, and I really enjoy it.
Could you expand a little bit about the science? I saw that there was a question about science earlier, Mr. Owen. What kind of experiments have you done in science?
It's really fun because you do like the bubbles where you set on fire and they go. Okay. And then you do the magnesium, which lights up, and it's just loads of the experiments are really fun to do.
And you do it, because I know we do pop into many lessons, you do experiments every kind of second or third lesson, isn't it? Yeah. You will get to do an actual practical lesson, which we know that's what really engages the students. Charlotte, you can say lessons, but not science. Up to you.
My favourite thing would probably have to be the extracurricular activities, because there's such a large and diverse range of things, and the teachers who run it, they're always so friendly. And I've been to, like, throughout year 7 and now through year 8, I've been to loads of different clubs, and every single one of them, every single session has been just so much fun.
I don't know that Charlotte, last year, you even, during one of the clubs, Mr. Bilson got you interviewing the staff, didn't he?
Yeah.
For a magazine, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think that was we were writing the school magazine.
Wasn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, and I came to you for an interview about the clubs and everything else.
Yes, absolutely. We put the ownership on them quite a lot, don't you?
Thank you for answering that, and I hope that helps. That concludes the questions that we received tonight. I'm sure there are many, many other questions that you will think. Please post those on our website, either through the medium we've got tonight, through Teams, or indeed just on our general inquiries, and we'll put an FAQ up very shortly once we've got those questions. It then leaves me to say thank you for taking the time to listen to us tonight and to watch the virtual tour. As I said, it's not the best opportunity, but it's the best one we can do in this moment in time. I hope you get a sense of warmth, friendliness, but equally a sense of purpose and direction about what our values are and what we need to do, which is our core business of making every child succeed to their full potential. And that does mean getting through examinations and getting through to the next stage of their career, and indeed going on to becoming successful in our society. We wish you well in choosing your school. We hope that Ken Stimpson will be the school of your choice. We are having extended tours right up to the end of half term, small tours after school, so please do put those in. And those are personalised tours, which include Mrs. Purdy, Mrs. Reed, members of staff, and including myself. So please do come and see us in the flesh, so to speak. Thank you for your time, and I look forward to seeing your child and indeed yourselves over the next few weeks, and indeed in September, should you choose us. Goodbye.